Constitution enjoins the head of state to ensure that there's a unity in the country and there's social cohesion. So this is part of that unity of our country. This is part of that process of developing social cohesion to avoid our country disintegrating like Sudan. So then the president eventually agreed to this process, agreed to the rationale that I just explained, and 3 weeks ago announced to the nation that the first sitting of the National Dialogue will be on the 15th of August. It's important then, colleagues, that we explain this 15th of August. All of these parties I was talking about, from the foundations, now the president says we use the secretariat at NEDLAC and some of the representatives from the presidency. It's critical, therefore, that that group prepares for this sitting of the first convention. The purpose of that first convention is not to start and end the dialogue. That convention is the launch of the dialogue process, to tell the nation that the dialogue is now on. And secondly, it is to set the agenda for the dialogue. And that agenda is to look at various pain points that this nation is facing. And one of the things in terms of the discussion documents that I was asking for earlier is really the inputs from this community in terms of what should be on that agenda. Then the third thing that the convention will do, it will set up a national program. How are we going to visit each province, each district, each local municipality, each voting district, each ward? And that must be set out clearly in that meeting. But more importantly, that National Convention will set up a steering committee, and that steering committee will have various working committees, and those working committees will be the ones then that are running around the country, possible for a period of 6 to 8 months, to make sure that everybody's views have been taken into account. In that process, Vice Chancellor, we're looking at a possibility of 20,000 facilitators. And it's critical that the student community plays a critical role in being the facilitators. It's not just being the facilitators, but it's to use a privilege occasion where young people in this country are once again given an opportunity to develop, mold, and create the type of a country that they want. And there's nothing more important than being the participant in the birth of the country that exactly they want. So we will be expecting the students in particular to guide us when it comes to these 20,000 plus facilitators that will be required in this process. So that process will run, as I'm saying, for 6 to 8 months. When all of the views have been consolidated, with your help in terms of the rapporteurs, in terms of the analysis of all of these matters, it will then be used to develop this national compact, which will be the vision of this type of South Africa we want. And that national compact will then be adopted in the second national convention. And that second national convention will be receiving all of these views. And the decision will be, it's either Parliament accept that national compact without further ado, But Parliament might say, the parties in Parliament might say, we are Parliament, we're not going to be told by all of you what to do. Our determination is that that national compact then must be taken to a referendum, where this point that is made in the Freedom Charter, that the will of the people must be what guides who governs us, or the point made in the Constitution that says, we the people. And I think that's the approach we want to take, because this is not going to be one of those documents that are produced and are put on the 13th file, and somebody raise them whenever they are doing electioneering. I think we need to take serious the issue of governance of our country. One of the biggest crises that has happened since 1994 is the fact that the agency of South Africans have been completely annihilated. We said our lives, our direction, our future will depend on some few people in Parliament in Cape Town. That's the biggest mistake. Because sooner you do that, you realize those people, their focus is on themselves, their friends, their chummies, their comrades. And I think it's time that as citizens, we exercise our agency. So this national dialogue is a process of reclaiming people's agency. So Dr. Matlati, I suspect I've done what you say I must do. And what I should say now in the end is really, colleagues, to urge all of you to participate in this process. Because I suspect, Richard, there's three groupings in this room. There's business. Business is critical in the type of future we want. And we need to hear the voice of the business and say, what are the pain points from the business that is hindering the growth of our economy? We've got agriculture here. It's critical to say, why is agriculture contributing less than 2% of the total GDP output in our country? Is it not possible that's one of the environments that we can start talking seriously about agricultural revolution that can employ as many of our young people as possible, but also that can be used as a process of industrialization and foreign exchange? So we've got a second grouping here, the group of the academics. I think we should not apologize for being educated. We should not apologize for being intellectuals. We should not apologize for being knowledgeable. And we need that knowledge. We need these educated people. We need these intellectuals to provide guidance to our country. We shouldn't be in a situation where you ask our leadership, Chief, do you have matric? And the answers are grey. We really need these intellectuals in this room to participate in this process and provide the required direction. And lastly, we need the students, because in reality, Professor Chobek, many of us, our future has already been destroyed. But these young people, their future needs to be bright. And it's not for us to create that bright future for them. It's for them to take their own future into their own hands. We are willing guides. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sabila Lajwach. Now, I just want to contextualize the next session. I hope that every one of you managed to get, in very simple terms, what the national dialogue is about. Secondly, that you've understood the part ownership that you have in that national dialogue as individuals. All of us own a piece of that process. Fortunately, this session is being streamlined, I understand. So if you've got friends that could not make it, text them and tell them, hey, listen, the good things that are being said about us being part and parcel of creating the future. Thank you, Vice Chancellor, for offering this institution for what really universities' roles are in society. That you'll be the facilitator to actually assist us going forward. So the thinking then in planning this engagement was that let's make it practical. So that it's not just about issues we think about. Let's get people with expertise to talk on matters that are very close to us in the Northwest. There are many others that are close. As you could hear, Advocate Bokwana here talking about the issue of agriculture. I would like to reduce it to the issue of fighting hunger, because sometimes the interpretation of what agriculture is a challenge. Simplicity, how do we make sure that none of us goes hungry? So we've got Mr. Mike Thabo, who's actually going to lead us in that particular, area. He will be followed by Mr. Richard Stewart, who is the incoming Chief Executive of Sibanye Stillwater. That's I think it's the second, if not third largest employer in this country. And when Advocate Bokwana was talking about business and all that, and there are many business people here who hopefully would be able to relate to the issues that are raised. The reason we raised that was not to say these are matters for the national dialogue, no. It was to take something that is practical